Yes, this is Biafra Radio. I'm wishing you all from United Kingdom.
Therefore, Biafra must be restored, for there is nothing the enemies can do about it. We have come that the will of the Most High may prevail. Radio Biafra is unorthodox. The way we do things are markedly different from how others do it. We are under divine instruction. We have come that Chukwukika may take control of these very proceedings this evening, for we are nothing without him. O Elohim, Chukwukika Biama Puremi, unto thee we repose all that we are. Do not allow your children, IPOB, to be put to shame. Do not allow us to be devoured by the hands of the wicked. Do not allow us, O mighty one, to fall prey to those who do not know thee. You will deliver us, not because we are righteous, but because of your mercy. Hear our cry and our supplication. We are not armed. We have not killed anyone. We have not jailed anyone. We have not done anything at all to warrant the level of destruction and carnage being visited upon your children. The same way Israel suffered, so is Biafra suffering today. And if you, Elohim, can deliver Israel, so will you deliver Biafra. That is our hope. That is our anchor of everything that we hold dear as a race and as a people. You brought Biafra that light may come into Africa. You gave us hope because we are in a continent of hopelessness. And by thy grace, Biafra shall be restored. We shall be resurrected. We shall crown our efforts with the glory by the grace of the Most High himself. We are not strong. We do not pretend to be strong. All we do is to submit ourselves to your will, that your will may be done upon our lives. We have lost many people. We have lost so many good people. Their sacrifice will never be forgotten. We shall honor them, and for their sake, Biafra will come. Israel lost people, and today Israel is here as a beacon of hope in a land filled with darkness. We beseech thee, Elohim, because we are wandering all over the world, hoping against every hope that things will turn around for the better. It has never turned around for the better. Instead, it is getting worse. Please do not abandon your children. You have given us a commission, and we must accomplish it in our lifetime. We have come to honor your holy name. We have come to praise thee. We have come to honor thee, that your name may be glorified, adored, and praised forever and ever. He said, I will.
Good evening, fellow comrades and lovers of freedom across the globe. This is Biafra Radio, and my name is Mazi. George is Umeh. I reside here in the United Kingdom. And is 49 minutes on top of the hour here in the United Kingdom. Presumably the same 49 minutes on top of 9 p.m. in the Holy Land of Biafra. This evening, this is Biafra Radio. This evening, we're going to talk about the complicities of the Britain and Nigeria on the Supreme Court. As you all know, we have not really done anything concerning the Supreme Court charade. And this evening is going to be the overview. We're definitely going to dive into it this evening to see one of a couple things before the main transcript of this particular shenanigan will be presented to us. And we're definitely going to come back on this platform to, to elaborate. Of course, we know what they're doing. Whatever that happened on the 15th of this month, it's not something that we are not aware of. Onyendu already have warned us about the fifth colony. And as you all see, a lot is going on. And tonight, specifically, I'm here in Biafra Radio, our mother station, this evening, to see what is going to happen and what, as we know, we're going back to the drawing board. And I want to listen to a couple of people that give their own perspective after that course sitting that there, because the whole world was watching. There was a beam, the satellite was beamed. The world is taking account of what is going on. Make no mistake about this, because at the end of the day, listen, it doesn't matter what they do. Mandela spent 27 years in prison, and he later emerged and became the president of South Africa, where he's fighting for the equality of his own people. Theirs was better than we are living in our own land. Where people invaded their land. That's what happened in the case of South Africa. People that were looking for greener pastures, as we all today have embarked on that should they call it, on exile, because when Europe was hungry, they have to get into the Atlantic Ocean looking for greener pasture, heading to Africa to be precise. And that's why some of them occupy our land. They put it in quote about colonial masters and whatnot. But it doesn't bother us. That's why we are fighting against the colonial boundaries. That some of you don't understand. This is not about the zoo. So what happened, what transpired in Abuja is something people must take note. And we will talk about some of the people that are making comments concerning it and what we are seeing now and the position we are going to expect going forward. Our new eminent legal team, which is the leader of our lead council, Agabi, and I want to listen to their testament of what they say in that on that day after that court sitting. Let us listen to them before I'm going to comment on them this evening. It is important that we have overview of what actually transpired on those that were handling this case that were sacked before now, but they were kept because revenge is always served in a cold manner. They were there in that court. Everything that have now in the public domain, every lies that have gone on the carpet now is in the open. So, but without further ado, let me just listen to what they say. They got about 40 different individuals spoke, and it's very, very important that we listen to them. Probably will make sense out of it.
Power Media International.
The Supreme Court is the Supreme Court. What Supreme Court is represents the law. We respect it. We go by it. There is no other way. We had hoped that it would come our way, but it has gone the other way. It simply means that we have to go back to the High Court and get done with this quickly. We still have hope. We're not in despair.
By the grace of God,
yes. So
victory is assured.
Yes,
at the end of the day.
We will lose a little time. We still have to go back. That's all it means. But I'm very consoled by what the Supreme Court said, that he ought not to have been treated the way he was treated. His bail ought not to have been revoked. His home ought to have been invaded. All that is a consolation to us. So we have hope. Thank you very much.
Well, if in recent times you're listening to the commentaries of most Nigerians,
I just want to
process of
comment.
judicial rascality.
I just want to commend our late counsel, Agabi. I think he's an elder statesman to standing firmly, and there's a lot of damage they have done. To be fair, Onyendu has got no case to answer in the zoo jurisdiction arena. But we know that our leader is a prisoner of a conscience. But as the zoo and Britain are making caricature of themselves, demonstrating their nefarious act and breaking their own law, because what happened in Kenya that brought our leader under extraordinary rendition to zoo is prohibited in their own charter that domesticated in the zoo law. But Agabi will say what he said here as a senior advocate as well, because he has to go back to the drawing board to find a way. Some people are saying political solution and whatnot, and some people might misquote what that means. Every revolution in this world end up in a round table, and every round table is a political solution, because some people have to mediate within whatever your demands are, and that is why IPOB has stand out, and our leader has been trading with caution, because even before our internal leader declared Biafra, there was a consensus. That's why now new actors, non-state actors today that are taking up upon themselves because they have done a leeway trying to stifle our people. That's not the direction we want to go. So they said that Supreme Court is Supreme Court, but Supreme Court has accepted everything. Some people might not understand, because I think I read that before, but I'm not going to be able to read it today, but we will follow what they say here, and that is what I'm going to use on this program specifically, because at the end of the day, the value they put out, invading Onyendu's house, they agreed on it. Now, for them themselves, extraordinary rendition, they acknowledge that is unheard of. But all these things, they agreed on it. At the end of the day, what happened? They failed to do what they're supposed to do. And now they went back from basics. They are buying time. Those that say they squash terrorism charges and whatnot, about 7-count charges now, they have reversed all these things. Tells you that none of those charges was actually being squashed, because if it does, I don't know why they're bringing it back after they went to Supreme Court. So it is very, very important that we understand, and I have to thank him. And you can see at the background, Zekome is struggling even to utter a word. By the grace of God, you're a lawyer or a senior advocate, and some, to be precise, you understand when it comes to things like that, you don't associate God when you're supposed to be a professional doing your. All of us believe in God, but that's not what it meant. It's not about God. It's about what you could produce to us, because you've been paid and you've done absolutely nothing. You guys wasted space, and now we'll have to start all over again. We're going back to the drawing board, which we're not deterred. But like I said again, we are waiting for the transcript, but let's listen to them. Our senior legal counsel, Agabi, have spoken. So let's listen to the second man and see what he says.
Because if the Supreme Court condemns all the processes, especially the rendition that brought him back to Nigeria, and you're not asking that he goes back to the Federal High Court for the trial to start, I feel it's a lot of injustice. It's a lot of injustice in all forms of jurisprudence. So all I will say that we just leave it in the hands of God. At the end of the day, how can somebody? It's difficult to make a comment, because when you listen to the judgment when it started, it was clear that they accepted the illegality committed by the federal government of Nigeria in all aspects of it, and yet you went on to this, to remove the judgment of the appeal court because of lack of jurisdiction, which they learned about the lower court. I don't think that is fairness in any consideration, but they say that they are final because it's the Supreme Court. They are also infallible because it is the final court of the land. So we'll go back to the Federal High Court, and hopefully we'll probably request that a bail is granted at that level. So for me, it's a win-win affair. At least something has seriously started, and I hope that the process at the Federal High Court will be, that will be expedited, so that the young man can come and be useful to the society. But the only unfortunate thing is that the insecurity in Nigeria, and especially in the southeast, will be worsened off, because people don't believe what is happening in this country anymore. So if the Supreme Court of Nigeria is not even looking at this implications of what is going on. Boko Haram is on, bandits are on, IPOB is on. So where is the country that we're all looking forward to? May God bless this country. Thank you very much. Sorry?
There is spoken on the country, and
I'm
everybody's
Chifidano
having their
Lassie.
own voice.
I'm
That's what we're
Chifidano
doing
Lassie
here.
and Igbos.
We're done the last
Test,
we
man.
you know. Thank you for tenacity for standing for the right.
Opposition leaders and opposition political parties who I speak for. This judgment today is very clear to us because we missed an opportunity to lay the foundation and path for political resolutions of these issues. And it's so painful that the eminent jurists understood the issues, but in their conclusion decided to arrive at something that is still worrisome to us. And what is that? The Supreme Court agrees today that the extraordinary rendition of Mazi Umeh from Kenya is illegal. That is the first victory that was recorded today. Then the Supreme Court also said today that the invasion of his house by the security agencies that led to killings and the man running to safety is also illegal. These are the foundations. And then the Supreme Court also goes further to say that the revocation of his bail ought not to have happened, thereby saying that he's supposed to be enjoying the freedom, which is the very foundation of this struggle up to Supreme Court. So now what happened? If the Supreme Court agrees that the extraordinary rendition from Kenya is illegal, and the Supreme Court agreed today that the invasion of his house is illegal, and the Supreme Court agreed today that he ought not to have been declared bail, then why is Mazi Umeh still in DSS custody today? The Supreme Court should have not only freed him, but lampooned those who committed.
Yeah, a fundamental question, very, very pertinent question. That's why I call it the conspiracy of Britain and the zoo, because they are the one engineering all these things. There is no need. Our leaders shouldn't spend a night in DSS dungeon. But what have convoluted, to be fair, is that every arms of individual that have circles us are now become a vampire because they are sucking the blood, the life out of us, because Mazi Umeh has remained their life wire. If Onyendu is not in DSS dungeon, none of these individuals now I can see they are running helter skelter because they know their pipe now is being blocked. That tap has been flowing because when this individual, I'm gonna talk about them after this video, what they have done in the past, partly, and some cynical comment they have started making. So we just want people to understand that this is not about us. This is a global issue that the satellite has been, and a lot of people have confused on what is going on. But which country in the world we brought themselves into this kind of arena, and the world is watching, because at the end of the day, everything that takes time in this world. But what IPOB and Mazi Umeh have stand up is to expose the zoo to the core. He said, I will destroy you with nothing but the truth. Just like what is happening in America today. Trump, they kicked him out. We're not picking political party, but we are looking at people that can make the world safer. And we can see it in his 4 years that he was there. And at the end of the day, we know what happened during those periods. And by God's grace, things are going to change. Our job is to dismantle zoo with truth. And the world will see it, because everything they have done, the world is taking account. Before the Supreme Court sitting, we have voices from far and near that have lent their voice, questioning the Supreme Court not to compromise, and they have done it. It's on record. And I think people are now taking the court. People are taking record. That's why we dare those that are trying to be misinformed individuals or try to get our people in a position that we are not, is not wishful for us, because our leader Mazi Umeh can still remain in DSS dungeon, meaning that he understood he is the man that have the mandate of this struggle and where we are going and what international community stand for. It's not about commenting issues that you haven't understood the real fundamentals about what we're doing. You can't just jump from anywhere and start fermenting issues. But it's good that these lawyers and are adding their own voices there. There are politicians in the zoo, but there are Biafrans as well, even though they're still in the zoo politics. But I mean, that's what we're asking for, because regardless of what we do at the end of this process, all these people are going to get along. Because even if we put a referendum, they're going to vote. If we actually get our referendum, all of them are going to be in Biafra land. But now everything has to be on merit. It's not going to be on whom you were before. It's not going to wash with us. So I want them to finish talking. Then I'm going to add one or two things. Like I said, this is an overview, and to you guys to put it, keep you guys on tiptoes until the transcript comes out, because there's a lot going on in the background, which I wouldn't allow to say on air by now until everything is come to. So let's go ahead and listen.
Those atrocities.
Yes.
And when they talk about some of these conventions that were cited by lawyers of Mazi are not national laws, I disagree. You know the extradition treaty that was signed by Malami, the Attorney General.
Yes.
That treaty, that act, condemned extraordinary rendition. So it's there in the law. Even as elementary law students, we are told systems method of forming laws, conventions, inclusive as well. So if you have international conventions that have been codified and ratified, they immediately becomes law. Like African Charter on Human Rights and so on and so forth will cite. These are laws. So why are you saying that we did not sign national law? National laws were cited. So for whatever reason, like I said, they are remitting back to the federal High Court. We strongly believe that the first thing to do is to grant bail to Mazi Nnamdi. Let's go back to the foundation. It's to grant him bail. But let me also appeal to the president. I'm not saying he should interfere in judicial matters, but there is need for us to find a middle ground to bring peace to Southeast. Many things has gone wrong in the East. Is it that Nigerians don't feel for the destruction going on in the Southeast? Businesses are being burned to the ground. People are being killed. All sorts of criminal activities is going. Even security agencies are also being killed. And whenever anybody is killed in the East, they call it unknown gunmen. Don't we want, timely resolution of these issues? And we said that the first foundation is to grant Mazi Nnamdi unconditional bail, and then we'll commence that process of reconciliation and harmonization of these issues. People in the East are human beings. Everybody was expecting this the first beginning. Supreme Court agrees that his arrest was illegal, that the rendition was illegal, that the invasion of his hands was illegal, but he should remain in DSS custody. That's why I say it's a sad December. It's very painful. And I'm appealing. The president still have powers under the Constitution. You see, all these things we are going from Federal High Court to Appeal Court to Supreme Court still have a political solutions to it under the Constitution.
Well.
Under the Constitution, the president has powers to issue knowledge. That power is constitutional. So I'm appealing to the president that despite whatever has happened today in Supreme Court, thank God that the Supreme Court have ruled that the rendition from Kenya of Nnamdi Kanu is illegal. And thank God that the Supreme Court has also ruled today that the invasion of his house in Omahia was also illegal. And also, the Supreme Court has also agreed that he ought not have been denied his bail. Despite the final conclusion of not granting him bail today, the president, riding on this extract from the ruling of the Supreme Court today, can, as the father of the nation, issue a broadcast and then issue knowledge, discontinue the trial and grant him unconditional bail and commence the process for political and political solutions to the matter, so that at the end of the day, every part of Nigeria can come together on that principle of justice, equity, and fairness. So it's not we didn't lose anything today, but it's also surprising that the final conclusion we were expecting was not made. But it's also victory for us that the Supreme Court agrees that the rendition from Kenya was illegal, and that the invasion of his house in Omahia is also illegal, and that he ought not have been denied his bail. So it is victory for all of us who love democracy, justice, and fairness. Despite that, the fact that the Supreme Court have also refused releasing him by allowing the appeal by the federal government. But the president still have a role to play. That's why we're appealing to the president to exercise his constitutional power. Going by the extract from this, positive extract from the judgment of the Supreme Court today, is to issue knowledge and discontinue the trial and initiate the process for political resolution. Anybody that is telling you that the path to peace is endless incarceration of Mazi Nnamdi is deceiving you. That person is enjoying the crisis, the killing and destruction in the East. Let's find a way. The president has been a Democrat, advocated for justice, equity, and fairness, even in NEDECO. Issues of NEDECO, all about issues of constitutional rights, fairness, equity, and justice. This is what we have known the president over the years for. And we expect him, as somebody who has championed rule of law, as a Democrat, as a leading member of NEDECO, to understand the circumstances we're operating in today and use his presidential power and issue knowledge so that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu can go home, and we can now open the window and opportunity for final political resolution of this matter. Thank you. Yeah.
That's not the point that the court made.
Mazi Ikenga has spoken eloquently, decisively, nailed it, and I mean, there's nothing else to add into this particular, analysis concerning what transpired on that day. That's what I said. I wanted to play it on this platform so that we can have this record officially, and the world are listening, they are watching, because at the end of the day, there is no need. There is no need. And I'm going to prove something. I want all of them to speak because it's important, very, very important to us.
You saw that the court came very heavy on the security agencies, where they have in any way, impaired on the rights, the fundamental rights of the defendant. However, our laws have made very clear provision for remedy where there's such infraction on the right of the defendant. Then you can such a defendant can go to the civil court and then seek for civil remedies for the violation of his fundamental rights. And that is why, of course, we have the fundamental rights enforcement, for which the defendant, the respondent, which is the defendant in this case, have actually activated. And you are aware that he has gone to the civil court and he has gotten some judgments, which is still of the fundamental rights have actually been infracted or infringed upon. Thank you very much. Thank you. One, D. Caswell. D.E. Caswell. D for David. D for David. D.E. Caswell.
Okay, and cancel.
Pelan, Republic of Nigeria. Okay. Okay. As you have all observed what happened today at the Supreme Court, if you ask me, I would say this is to once you are an accused.
I don't know what's going on with this. There's a little bit of network issue with the not allowing the video to play for some obvious reason. I really want this guy to finish saying what he was saying so that I can just
Yes, my name is Right Honorable Obi Agwacha, representing the good people of Iguano, Umuahia South Federal Constituency of Abia State. I am the direct representative to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. It's indeed a very sad day today. If you looked at the judgment, the court showed empathy in the way the rendition was conducted, the torture, the treatment meted out to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. It's just a technical matter, just like the counsels for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has stated. I'm sure they are going back to the drawing board, starting again from the High Court all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is sympathetic to the plight of Mazi at the end of the tunnel.
yes. I have to be an unreserved thanks to these honorable men that have stood by the law and with the standing in the path of justice, because at the end of the day, like I said, everybody knows that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu being in DSS dungeon is the main core of whatever that is happening in Biafra land today. And I've said it again. It is not that people cannot show their anger, but when you go contrary to the wish of the man that are being behind bars, because regardless whatever you are doing today, demands you're putting up today is attached to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. This is something people must understand. And these honorable individuals that came out to support on that day, this is one of the honorable, I think a senator from his constituency, which he identified himself. Now, I have 4 individuals that have spoken, and they have spoken eloquently, if you ask me. And reason being I play all this audio here is to explain what transpired in that in that Supreme Court on that 15th of December 2023. Now, I want to go ahead. I want to upload the tweet of our eminent special counsel, Barrister Aloy Jimako, where he referencing the so-called Jagaban. He said it is the president, not the court, that is holding MLK. Section 174 of the Constitution said that the Attorney General can stop any criminal trial initiated by him against anybody. Tinubu can direct the AGF to stop the trial of MMK at official about the buckets stopped at your table. And it is very, very important that we know this is politics. I hope some of us remember when he came out and said that it was Hope Uzodinma that told him not to release Mazi Umeh during the election. And we told you that all these things are systematic. All these things are politics. They're playing ping pong. But you see, they are shooting themselves on the foot and creating more harm to themselves. It is not Mazi Umeh that is going to suffer. They know what they are playing with. Tinubu fought for Abiola, and today he has forgotten all the things that happened. 1993, what transpired. He has forgotten all of that. And I mean, we need to be fair and careful when we do things. And on this particular thing that attached, he said it there. You know, you quoted him there from the AGF. You know what I mean? The Attorney General of the Federation shall have power. And in bracket on C, he said to discontinue any stage before judgment is delivered, any such criminal proceedings instituted and undertaken by him or any other authority or person. Very, very important that all these things has been highlighted to the world to understand that at the end of the day, what is playing here is politics. Like I said, the whole world is watching. And like I said, tonight is overview. And I just want to comment on we saw some write-up, and that I need to comment on it because when people project something, not our leader is behind bars, and people cannot project evil against our leader. But before then, I want to play the voice of Malami, the so-called AGF. I want the world to realize that the people are dealing with our biggest problem. Like I said, what Malami said against the Igbos. Igbos is one of the clan in Biafra. You know what I mean? Because Biafra is not just Igbos. You know, we are about 9 clans. So at the end of the day, we got Ibibio, Ishekiri, about 9 of them. About 9 clans we have, which I'm not going to be able to mention all of their names now. But let's listen to this particular voice. Very, very important. Then you can see what is happening from day one. Remember, Olonyedu was extraordinary rendition. This man said he was extradited. That is why it's the conspiracy of Britain and Nigeria. They're playing this thing. We went to court here. Even the case has gone to High Court, to Supreme Court, right? At the end of the day, we spent 6 hours in the court or so. And now their body language is what the zoo is doing. Exactly. They're writing the script for them. But what betide them? Because at a time, they can't control this. Forget about all the shenanigans that are going on right now, because this individual that you see that are fermenting issues in Biafra land, they are not fighting on the interests of Biafra or even to get Mazi Umeh out. They are the 5th colonies, as our leader has, reminded us. So listen to Malami, and after that, then there's something I want to read quickly.
Alpha Power Media International. Biafra Alpha Power Media International.
Akar Malami, San politician Igbos are stupid and unruly. They are the problem in this country. The Hausa recognizes their position as conquered slaves. They recognize the supremacy of the Fulani. The Hausas are happy being our slaves and we treat them well. The Hausa will not seek to sit on the same table with their masters. They will not demand to be in government. They know it is haram. The Kobo Igbos will not take their place as the conquered slaves they are. They refuse Fulani grazing on their land.
This is the words of Malami. You know, this was written as a press release, but translated in audio voice. But this is the word of the so-called AGF.
Nigeria is our heritage. Our forefather Othman Dan Fodio secured this heritage for us. The Fulanis are the special breed ordained by Allah to be served. That is why Nnamdi Kanu must.
A lot of us don't understand the fight the Fulanis are fighting. Remember, if it wasn't IPOB, they could have, you know, dipped that Quran in the Atlantic Ocean, which is the Biafra land. They have their men, they have their cohort and conspirators, those that claim they are Islam, those some of them that are hidden. They brought so many people over. But we are the last line of defense. And Onyendu said it. Onyendu told us, if it wasn't because of Mazi Umeh, by now they could have run us over. He told us in 2015, he said they are coming with guns and they're coming with AK-47. They are going to rape our mothers. At the end of the day, it happened. Whatever Malami said here, it is something, this is an agenda of the Fulani. Remember Kunle and a large conversation about the Igbos in Lagos. That's why I feel sorry for nobody. Anybody that is broke his property in Lagos, I feel no sorry. This is my personal opinion. I don't care. I don't care, just to be fair. But I want him to speak before, so I want to close the so-called ruling the rule with this his words, because he's the AGF, he's the Attorney General of the so-called Zoological Republic, you know. But look at what a man like in that position said about some certain part of people that he claimed to be one with. You know, they're playing games.
Die. He challenged a power greater than his tribe. He challenged an authority established by Allah. We poisoned his parents to send a warning across to him, but he refused to listen. His own dose. He will rot from inside and die very painfully. He cannot reason well again. The judge will keep adjourning his case. Death. Mrs. Igbo people. Fulani owns this country. Mark my words, no infidel shall smell the seat of power in this country ever again. Nobody should utter such rubbish as three main tribes in Nigeria. There is only one tribe in Nigeria. The Fula. Henceforth we shall not tolerate any insubordination from infidel vassals. The Fulani herdsmen have the rights to kill, maim and rape any stubborn slave. Slaves are brought under submission. Only the Fulani lords have the right to carry arms. The herdsmen are entitled to any land they desire from the north to the south. Nigeria belongs to the Fulani. Establishment of the grazing route is a must. Britain have a morbid hatred for Igbos. They are in full support of the Fulani land acquisition agenda. It is a pact signed at the amalgamation. Britain knows that Fulani owns Nigeria. They have given the go-ahead to kill Nnamdi Kanu at once, but we want to enjoy his slow, painful death. The Igbos must surrender their lands or die to the last man. The Igbos are a pollution. They must disappear from this country either by death or exile. Killing the Igbos is simple. We control what they eat. Just watch Nnamdi Kanu degenerate and die, then, know how potent a little bottle of...
Anyway, like I said, we cannot oversight so many things. When the Alhaji and Kunle voice came, a lot of people were thinking probably it was state managed. But as you can see today, the agenda is now being fulfilled. That is what they have embarked upon. So what Malami said here, Onyendu Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, we are not begging them if they say they want to kill our leader. You know, the government, like I said, the conspiracy of Britain and the zoo, they know what they are doing. They did it with Mandela for 27 years, but that era and now is different. So they must be very careful, and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a different kettle of fish, because at the end of the day, our leader know exactly what he is standing for. And some majority of us that remain consistency on the oath we have taken and the path we are driving home with must be very, very vigilant. Very, very important. Now, I want to address one thing, because there's some publication that I saw early. I think it's yesterday or so, but I want to clarify some things here, because at the end of the day, we know those that were in charge of our legal team in court that have never won any case, not even filed a case that was required. Onyendu House was invaded in 14th of September 2017, and 28 men was murdered in cold blood, including Jack. Now, there was no official filing of that case to Bintayaku's court. Onyendu surfaced in Israel in 2018, in 2018. God spared his life before this extraordinary rendition. When IPOB was proscribed, after they went through behind doors and get their whatever to prescribe IPOB, they didn't challenge that. The people that said that we're releasing IPOB members, but IPOB was proscribed before you, it did nothing. You don't understand what proscription means. When they domesticated proscription, they domesticated IPOB as a terrorist organization. With Fulani herdsmen was carrying AK-47 and assault rifle. It did nothing. All these things was done. Now questioned by our eminent special counsel, Aloy Ejimako. Now, after this judgment, we can see some of these men were in court like a clerk. You could see when Ezekome was jumping into when our lead counsel was talking and mentioning God and whatnot, because this is how they deceive themselves. These are evil men, you know, they live on deceit and lies. So I want to, you know, read this a little bit, and I want to comment on this because it's very, very important that I address this issue. Now, I want to quickly, this is Harry Potter, you know what I mean? And it's important. I've done a program yesterday on Biafra Alpha Power Media, you know, the dilemma of the crooked lawyer. And he's not a lawyer because at the end of the day, he wangled himself from the back door. That's why we can see what happened. Everything they have told us was lie. Now we have gone back to square one again. This was publication on the 19th of December 2021, so 2 days ago. Now, it says the Supreme Court, however, held at the Nigerian government recklessly and unlawfully rendition, which he never understood what rendition was, kind of from Kenya to Nigeria. It is, however, held that such an unlawful act would not strip any court of its power to proceed with the trial. And we don't understand which trial they're talking about. This is Supreme Court, and this is the bizarre thing that has happened, because if the lower court have passed judgment, I don't see reason why they wouldn't honor it. But let's say the Supreme Court is the court of Supreme Court final. I don't know if he exists or not. Now, the detained leader of indigenous people of Biafra, in brackets, Nnamdi Kanu, has said that the Supreme Court of Nigeria declared his extraordinary rendition from Kenya, revocation of his bail by the Nigerian government, and invasion of his home. Like I said, that invasion of the home was not legally, instituted at the court of law, even though zoo law does not exist. But at least we can see many cases will be won. International community are taking record of it. Nobody could say that was a case file of Mazi Umeh has been. When they filed this case was after Onyendu came back, they were trying to fight. I don't think they didn't accept it until tomorrow morning. Because if they said they filed, they would give us the file case and when it was filed. It happened on 14th September. What were you waiting for? Almost 5 years later, he couldn't do that. Now, and invasion of his house by the security personnel as unlawful, but repelled Nigerian Constitution by upholding his continued detention. The IPOB leader said this on Tuesday while reacting on Supreme Court judgment on his appeal against his continued detention by the Nigerian government, despite the judgment of the Court of Appeal, which discharged and acquitted him and ordered his unconditional release from the custody of the Department of State Security, in bracket DSS, Sarah Reporter Court. The Supreme Court, however, held at Nigerian government recklessly, they're repeating the same thing again, but reacting on Supreme Court judgment. However, the legal team, now this is where I want to address it here, but reacting on the Supreme Court judgment when his legal team visited him on Tuesday, and the name mentioned there is the Spaniard Jofo. He said he visited Onyendu on Tuesday, and this was on Monday. And I don't know, because visiting Onyendu and what Onyendu told you. Let's look around on what he said, and I'm not gonna confirm that he visited Onyendu, because somebody can go to DSS dungeon because he's working for the DSS. But if a man is behind bars, he is the one that decides who to come to see him. He's no longer his lead counsel. He's no longer his lawyer. Ejiofor, for I know for one thing, is not involved in IPOB legal team, neither our leader. Forget about all these shenanigans because I'm going to treat something tomorrow. We know their conspiracy. That is why there's a program initiated on top of his head on Biafra Power Media. So I want to come down on this particular publication where he said, but reacting on the Supreme Court judgment when his legal team visited him, and repeating this again, said Bratifani Ejiofor, who gave an update on Kano's reaction, said that the reader questioned whether the Apex Court effectively repealed constitutional provision cited before it on its release. Now, Ejiofor said that eventually verdict of Supreme Court was conveyed to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. You're not the one to convey that to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. That's one thing I must have to tell you, because are you conveying it as Mazi Nnamdi Kanu lawyer or as a crack, as a messenger? On what ground? You can't convey a message to Onyendu because you're not the one. You're no longer involved in that particular proceedings any longer. And he expressed reservations on the outcome because he always lied. The same lie he perpetrated on 2021 when he never went to Onyendu. But he was contacting the DSS because they're the one that actually collaborated with the zoo to extraordinary rendition of our leader. However, Kanu elected to accept this outcome because of, the person that put up all this, because, you see now what you're doing. You can't put up all this kind of garbage out there. Though our lead counsel have already said that the Supreme Court is Supreme Court, but he hasn't, that was the statement he made on press, not written on, running around the whole, giving them money to put up some publication to remain relevant. But people must understand, Biafrans must understand that Ifeanyi Ejiofor has got nothing to do with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. He's not involved in his legal team any longer. So all this garbage, people must disregard all this nonsense. It's nonsensical, but I'm reading it for obvious reason, you know what I mean? Because I know our leader name was mentioned. You can't be lying against a man that has behind bars. You went on so-called Radio Biafra Radio to malign our leader. He stood there and accepted that Onyendu. How would Onyendu speak to you if you have gone against Onyendu's direction? Even hypothetically, let's take out you want to see Onyendu. But how do you think Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will speak to you? Even when Benjamin went there, he confirmed that Onyendu is angry. And now you guys are committing more treacherous acts against our leader. Now we found out that everything you guys have told us was lie. And how in the world are you telling people that he spoke to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? You can't, you have to connect the dots. But that's what I want to deal with this particular issue because it's very essential. You don't want to drag your name. All the things you guys are planning, we are there. We understand that, but it's not in this platform because I will deal with that issue differently. But I want to handle this here basically on mentioning Onyendu, that you went to see Onyendu and saying things Onyendu never told you. You've done this over years. This is what you've been doing. And you need to quit from doing this because this is a crime. Now, he said, however, elected to accept the outcome because of the finality of Supreme Court decision and not because they are infallibly, but because they are infallibly for the fact that the Supreme Court is the final court in the land. This is garbage. Our lead counsel have already mentioned this, but all this he wants to be the very relevant. Nevertheless, in accepting the verdict, Onyendu specifically requested that the following compel question be put out publicly to the disseminating members of public who are keenly following the trajectory of this case to with. Now he go down to say the decision of the Supreme Court, which substantially section the federal government illegal act of Onyendu, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's adoption and extraordinary renditions to Nigeria effectively repealed the following Nigerian laws, which we are all seated in our behalf before the Supreme Court, according to Ejiofor, Nnamdi Kanu's legal team. He's no longer Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's legal team, for crying out loud. Our reporter must be guarded before the Supreme Court, the section 15 of the extraordinary rendition. Now you put in extraordinary, but you never knew what extraordinary rendition. When they told you in 2021 to file for Onyendu extraordinary rendition, you refused. The same age for now. Today you quote him because he never knew the extraordinary nation, even capping on the so-called Nigerian so-called law. But now you can quote it here, Supreme Court, Section 15 of the Extraordinary Nation Act, Cap E25 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. But you never knew. Provides as followed. Now you quoting this because somebody have laid the foundation, but the fact remains that you are not part of the team any longer. That is the disclaimer I'm making tonight. Everybody, because you can't say what I already don't say because it is have lied so much against Onyendu, and we cannot allow this to slide anymore. Now we'll continue. We are in accordance with the law of any country within the Commonwealth or in the pursuance of any extraordinary agreement between Nigeria and other country, in bracket, whether within the Commonwealth or not, any person accused of any unlawful at large after conviction of an offense committed within the jurisdiction of Nigeria is surrendered to Nigeria by the country in question. Then, so long as he has not had a reasonable opportunity to return to that country, that person shall not be detained, in bracket, whether under this act of otherwise, tried or otherwise dealt with in Nigeria for all and in respect of an offense committed by him before he surrendered to Nigeria or done. He says or done. I don't know what that means. And he say the offense of the offense for which he was surrendered or any lesser offense which may be provided by the facts on which his surrender was granted, or any other offense being, in bracket, being one corresponding to any offense described in the section 20 of this act of the same nature as the offense for which he has surrendered. But what I'm taking about all this whole thing that is written here tonight is that Ejiofor have now quoted Onyendu again, and what he's saying here, providing the person is falling within the section, shall not be detained or tried for any offense by virtues of the paragraph B of this section without prior consent of the country surrendering. We understand all the so-called extraordinary rendition from day one. We're not going to read on to do all this art. And at the end of the day, but as you first said, above laws and avoids any doubt, all Nigerians' law on extraordinary renditions of any citizens from foreign land, otherwise international instruments of conventions, and which Nigeria is a state part bonded by, which made similar provisions, including the OAU Convention on the Prevention of Combating of Terrorism Principles and Guidelines on Human Rights and People's Rights, while countering terrorism in Africa, and International Convention on Civil and Political Rights. According to Ejiofor said publicly, prospect and provision on the possible implication of the Supreme Court judgment on the 15th of December on the above law, why further demonstrated that grave prejudice Onyendu has suffered in the hands of Nigerian federal government of Nigeria, cannot encourage the supporters to remain focused and keep eyes on the ball, continue to conduct themselves peacefully. The point of this whole particular garbage that I've just read is that projecting himself probably on this, he's trying to push himself. This is not about writing garbage anymore. I don't know, probably he's got two publications from different quarters, but this Sahara Reporter. But the point I'm making here is that Ejiofor needs to distance himself from anything that have to do with IPOB and Mazi Umeh. He have done enough damage. We cannot further to tolerate this. But I know that things is going to be done, going forward to encounter all these shenanigans. But at the end of the day, let it be known that Ejiofor Ifeanyi has got nothing to do with IPOB, neither Mazi Umeh. It is in the record. It's been sacked before now, but I mean, the so-called Supreme Court has now battered them by themselves because every lie they have told now is in public domain, and there is no way to cover it up for 5 to 6 good years from 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. How many years? You've been portray yourself, but there's no significant thing you will say you have done in the past. The main thing is IPOB. Onyenu house was invaded. IPOB was proscribed. What is happening in Biafra land today is because of proscription of IPOB. Even though the war did not happen or bought into it, but they knew what they were doing. Because at the end of the day, that is the only thing that gave them the power to militarize our region. And now what they do, they pump funds into the so-called fifth colonies, including some of them that are pretending to be part of what we are doing, but we know them. Like tomorrow, I'm coming up on Alpha Power Media tomorrow to detail of who sold Mazi and kind of that program must continue tomorrow. So like I said, this is our hallowed platform, and tonight is the overview of the Supreme Court so-called, how did I call it? I call it, what did I call it? There's a word I use on that particular Supreme Court, but to me it's a shred. But at the end of the day, the world is watching, but there is a specific word I use concerning that particular ruling, because we know what was going to happen, But at the end of the day, one thing we must take home from here is that our leader Mazi Umeh is still held in the DSS dungeon. This is a process, and he understood it. And thank God that God in infinite mercy as well is guiding our path. And it doesn't matter who is there to lead us, but one thing is certain, because we're dealing with wild animals, which is Britain is heading them. Their master is behind the closed doors and telling them what to do. They're writing the script for them and they're acting upon it. When I told you, they say Hope Uzodinma is the one holding Mazi Umeh. I told you guys in one of our programs that these people are playing ping pong with your brain. Like all these people in Biafra land today say they are fighting Nigerian government. None of them are fighting Nigerian government. They're all in it to win it. All they're doing is cashing out, because the only source of their life wire is Mazi Umeh. And they will make noise. They will call them from the back, to pat them from the back. Or there's a story for another day. My job here tonight is done. Just to went overview of the ruling, and the world and the people of conscience must understand that Biafran people has been haunted. Our leader has been held against his wish. There is nothing like this has ever happened in any man. Even this guy they have been holding for how many years? What was it? Is it in Britain here? Is it like in Britain here they're holding him over how many years now? But he was not allowed to be extradited back to America, So, but Onyendu was actually kidnapped, tortured for 8 days, which some of his disciples were aware. All of them kept it quiet. Some of them were talking to him on the phone. The day this thing happened, they never asked about their leader the next day. They never asked about their leader the next day. Someone said, I was speaking to him on the phone that same day until he told me, I will speak to you later. And he couldn't speak to you the next day. The second day, the third day, the fourth day, he didn't ask, where is our leader? He didn't say, I'm looking for our leader. Let people now start asking, where's Mazi Umeh? No one said anything. But you know what? Chukwuka in heaven knows why. And Onyenu said, I'll lead from the front, and he's leading from the front. That's why he's in the DSS. And he said, and I quote him, he said, this is why I want Biafra land to be peaceful, and this is why I'm in the DSS dungeon. So I want our people to act with their senses correct. People need to understand that this is not about me or about you. One thing is certain here is that Onyendu has given everything. And we, all of us, must wake up from our slumber and do the right thing by not allowing ourselves to be hoodwinked or be used, because at the end of the day, what matters is that what we are looking for shall be given to us. It doesn't matter how long it takes. Biafra shall be restored. It does not matter how long it takes or how long they try to delay it. Onyendu is the last miracle. And as you can see around you, there is nothing else you will ask. Everything he has said has come to pass. And Biafra is the only thing that is imminent that me and you must be vigilant about, because one thing is certain is that when is it going to happen? No one knows. He says it's going to be a miracle. So are you going to be part of this particular historic event the day it's going to happen? Because when it happens, you see a lot of people, all the foreign agents will come back. I said it's a travesty. What happened in Abuja was a travesty. So for me, we already know the outcome before ever it happened. So I thank every single one of you that have taken time to listen. This is a late night show actually, but It's happened that we have to do it. It's very, very important that we itemize these things we have said tonight concerning this particular shred, this travesty that went on in Abuja. And we're still waiting to the transcript to come out before our our new legal luminary will take it from there. And of course, our special counsel is there because at the end of the day, you can't take it away from him. A man understood what he's been called to do, and he's doing it to the best of knowledge. That if you ask me, because you must stay professional regardless what is going on around you. Very, very important and it's pivotal. And as I said, I thank all of you for listening. And may Chukwu Kabiama continue to protect and guide every single one of us. And I'll be signing out from here, United Kingdom. And this is Biafra Radio. Thank you for listening. And may Chukwu Kabiama continue to guide and protect Onyendu and every single one of us, including his household, and still remain upright. May Chukwu Kabiama persevere, and may that his mighty hand always cover him, regardless what the enemies are plot. One thing is certain: we are fighting a just cause, but we choose to go this path. Not that we cannot be more violent, but at the end of this journey, one thing is certain: when this will destroy the zoo, and Somalia will be a paradise. And if you look around you today, everything you has said have come to pass. So be vigilant, regardless those that have fallen on the wayside, questioning what the providence has given to us. But most importantly, who we're supposed to be focused upon is the golden egg itself, which is Mazi Umeh. And thank God for the marvelous family that has given him to stood by him, because I don't know who could have taken this mantle. It's not easy. It is beyond my own comprehension, to be fair, if you ask me. This for me from here. It's good night from London, and this is good evening, London. Thank you for listening, and may Chukwu Kabiama bless all of you. Thank you. Good night.